Good evening. My name is Dr. Prem Ponath. I am the cardiothoracic and vascular surgeon based at Karen Hospital, Nairobi. And today I'll be explaining about the heart, the functions, the normal anatomy, as well as the disease profile and what to do and what not to do. And today I'll be the teacher and Purity will be my student, representing the whole student community, not only of Kenya or throughout the world, whoever is watching this program.
That's right. Thank you so much for agreeing and accepting to teach us about the functioning of the heart, the parts of the heart, and what could go wrong with the heart.
Yes.
So let's begin with the importance of the heart in the body, because we can't talk about what could go wrong and the parts when we don't know what its main functions are.
Yes. As you know, from time immemorial, heart has been considered to be the seat of love. Even the Shakespeare has explained that. So it's of great importance. Even though it's an organ, there are many organs in the body, heart gets a special status because of these facts. So this is the model of the heart, and of course we have a model, the picture of the heart on the screen. So I would say heart is an organ which is situated inside the chest, on the left side of the chest. Of course it can also happen on the right side of the chest. And some people are born with heart on the right side. It's called dextrocardia. But usually, by and large, heart is on the left side of the chest. So heart is an organ, muscular organ.
What do you mean by some people born with heart on the left side? Is that normal?
Left is normal, but some people will have heart on the right side. It's called dextrocardia, by which you can say, you know, but it's not a disease. They are born like that. So there are people who are walking normal with a heart on the right side.
And they lead a normal life?
Yes, they do. Absolutely normal life. But if it gets diseased, if you have to do a surgery on the right side, then you will have to, I have done few surgeries on the patients with the heart on the right side. It's like driving on the opposite side of the road. You have to reorientate and rethink, so that you have to stand on the opposite side of the table when you operate. You know, everything is on the opposite side. So it can be done. So having a heart on the right side is not a disease. It's just a, you know, you're born like that. Now, heart is an organ. It's said that in a normal human being, it can weigh something between 250 to 400 grams. Or you can say the size is like your fist, you know, the size of the fist, the size of the heart you have. Now, the smallest heart is supposed to have this hummingbird. You know, hummingbird is supposed to have a heart the size of a peanut. And the blue whale, the size of the heart may be as big as this room. So it depends and varies as per the size of the animal we are talking about. So human being, it is as big as one's fist, and I told you, as the weight varies, can between 250 to 400 grams. But some of the disease process, it can become much bigger. You know, as in English literature they say, you know, big-hearted and all those, but it's not good in a medical term, because it's a diseased heart, usually you find. So let's look at this. This is the model of a heart. As you know, even though it's on the left side, it is slightly twisted towards the left side. So what happens is that the right side of the heart is in front and the left side is behind. So it is slightly twisted, so that the left side goes left and to the back, the right side comes right and to the front. So this is how normally how you know, if you open the chest, that's how the heart looks like. Now, as we know, that heart has got 4 chambers, you know. So we have studied in school. The right side of the heart, there are 2 upper chambers, there are 2 lower chambers. This is what you find: 2 upper chambers, 2 lower chambers. And as you know, the right side of the heart is has full of impure blood, or the venous blood, and the left side of the heart has got pure blood, which is oxygenated blood. So if you take blood from the left side, it is bright red. But if you take blood from the right side, blood from the left side is bright red, and blood from the right side is dark blood, you know, because it's not oxygenated. So what happens is that if you look at the function wise, all the blood from the body, impure blood, comes to the right side. So this is called the superior vena cava, which drains all the impure blood from the upper part of the body. And there is one called here, it's called the inferior vena cava, which brings all the impure blood from the lower portion of the body. So it comes into the right upper chamber, which is called the right atrium. And there is a door or a valve between the right atrium and the right ventricle, which is the lower chamber. And these valves is fashioned, or the God has gifted in such a way that it should open only on one side, so that blood can come from the top to the bottom. It can't go the other way around. If they go, they close, you know. But in disease conditions, sometimes they don't close well. So the blood goes opposite side, and you know, we'll talk about it later. You know, that's a pathology. So the blood come from, the impure blood come from the upper part of the body and lower part of the body into the right side, from the upper chamber to the lower chamber. So it comes
from both sides, upper and lower?
Yes. Okay. So this is from the lower part of the body, the impure blood. This is from the upper part of the body. Okay. And it comes to the right upper chamber through the door or through the valve, which is called the tricuspid valve. It comes into the lower chamber. From here, see, you can see the blue line. It goes into the lung. Even though heart and lung are two extra separate organs. So we have got two, God has gifted us with two lungs. One is on the left side, one is on the right side. Even though they are two separate, lung and heart is two separate organs, they function as one in tandem. You know, the function wise. What I meant to say is that if the heart has got a major disease, on a long term it can affect the lung. So also if the lung has got a disease, on long standing it can affect the heart. So they work in tandem. They work in you know, so the blood from the right side, it comes to the lower chamber and it is pushed through the pulmonary artery into the lung. So there is a left pulmonary artery and the right pulmonary artery. And as you know, it goes into the left and right lung, which divides like a branch, you know, root of a branch. It divides into multiple. And the air that you breathe in comes in contact with it, and the oxygen is absorbed, and that oxygenated blood from the lung, it comes to the left side through what is known as pulmonary vein. So once again, what you are asking, purity, this is an artery which takes the venous blood, but the oxygenated blood comes through the vein. Yes. It's a pulmonary vein. So there are pulmonary veins, left pulmonary vein and right pulmonary vein. And they open into the left upper chamber called the left atrium. So the oxygenated blood from the lung comes here, and again there is a valve here, you know, and through the valve or the door, it comes into the left ventricle. Now this is a very important chamber that we see, left ventricle, because
it looks thicker than the right.
It is called the pumping chamber of the heart, because it is here that the oxygenated blood is pushed throughout the body. So there is an artery which arises from here, it's called aorta. This is the one. See, aorta.
Yes.
So from here, the blood is pushed, the oxygenated blood is pushed to the aorta, and it goes, here is the head, left hand, right hand, and it goes down.
Why is it important that we have pumping of the blood, oxygenated, deoxygenated, throughout the life of a human being?
Exactly. It's very important that it functions well, because this is the organ which supplies nutrition and blood and oxygenation, everything throughout the body. So if something happens to the pump, you are in trouble. About 17 to 18 million people die throughout the world just because of heart problem. So it's a big killer, more than cancer or anything else. There are 4 valves inside the heart. As I told you, it's like the door in your house. It has to open only in one direction. And there are 2 valves on the left side, there are 2 on the right side. As I told you, between the left upper chamber, lower chamber, there's a valve that is called the mitral valve. And at the starting point of the aorta, there is another valve, which you can see it here. It's called the aortic valve. So the function of all these valves is to unidirectional blood flow. You can't go the other way. So the blood can only go like this. If the blood tries to come, it will close. If you look outside very clearly, you see a lot of blood vessels running on the muscles. As you know, heart is a muscle. It also needs food. So the blood has to come. Heart is, you know, is basically like a teller. I don't know, many of us have gone to a bank and you find the teller sitting in a glass cage. The teller's job is to take money and give money. You know, people come with cash, check, you cash it and all those. But that does not mean that he can take some money and go home. To look after his family, he must have his own earning, his own salary. So also the heart, even though the job of the heart is to pump blood, it cannot take blood from there. It has to get its own blood. That is where what is known as the coronary arteries. There are 2 coronary arteries we have, one on the right side, one on the left side. They come from this aorta, the main artery here, and they supply the muscle of the heart. So the right coronary artery is the one which supplies the right side of the heart, left is the one which supplies the left side of the heart, you know. And it is these blood vessels which supply the whole of the heart muscle.
What then could go wrong with the heart? You've talked about if there is blockage with the arteries,
Yes.
for example, then it means that the heart is not receiving supplies and therefore it's weak or something.
Yes.
Maybe you can just take us through some of the common problems that
Yes.
affect the heart and which parts, to be specific, that are usually affected during
Yes.
this time.
If you look at the heart diseases, you can basically divide them into two. One is the problem of the heart, which is by birth you have it. We call it congenital heart disease. The child is born with a defect inside the heart. You know, usually you call it a hole in the heart. The hole can be between the two upper chambers or between the two lower chambers, or sometimes there can be hole between these two arteries. So hole in the heart is
and it's
one of the
very common among children.
Yes.
Why are children born with
Yes.
the hole?
So the most important cause for this congenital heart problem, where the children are born with heart problem, is because you have to look into the mother. During the time of the pregnancy, as you know, the first 3 months of the pregnancy is the time where the organogenesis, or the organ for the baby, is being generated, you know, in the mother's womb. During the first 3 months, if the mother is not very careful, or if the mother gets some infection like smallpox, chickenpox, measles, it can affect the development of the child. Or the mother is very casual, she takes some drugs, she smokes, she drinks, that is another problem. Or she takes some medication without a doctor's prescription, you see. She just goes across the counter and takes something. And so these are the common causes for child to have some problem, especially the congenital ones.
You said it was the atrium that are usually affected?
Which
if
one?
It's a hole,
yeah.
Which part?
So the hole can be between the two upper chambers.
Okay.
There is a hole. Actually, there should not be any hole. If you look at this like that, there is a wall in between all these chambers, between the left and right. Sometimes there can be a hole between the two upper chambers or between the two lower chambers. So if it is between the lower chambers, we call it ventricular septal defect, or we call it VSD. Or if it is between the two upper chambers, we call it ASD, atrial septal defect.
Yeah.
So this is a defect, they are born with it.
How does it affect the child?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what happens is that when suppose there is a hole between the two upper chambers or two lower chambers, what happens is that in normal health, there is no mixing of impure blood and the pure blood.
Right.
But when there is a hole, it happens because there is a hole in the wall. So what happens is that the pressure on the left side is more than the right. So blood will start shunting from left to right. So the right side get more blood. So what happens? More blood goes into the lung. So what happens is that the child becomes breathless. You know, it depends upon the size of the hole. If the hole is small, the child may not manifest. Sometimes you find it only when you accidentally.
And can the opposite occur?
Yes, it can happen. That's what I meant to say. So usually it is from from left to right. But sometimes at the end of the stage, what happens is that when the blood, you know, suppose think of a condition, child had a hole and it was shunting for a long time.
Yeah.
The pressure on the right side mounts. It becomes more over a period of time. And when this pressure is more than the left, it shunts the opposite direction. It's a very dangerous condition. We call it an Eisenmenger syndrome, where which the child becomes bluish in color, child is very much incapacitated, child can't run around, and the blood is shunting from right to left.
And the palpitations are as a result
in
of
these cases, what happens is that once that condition comes, then you cannot do anything. They have gone to a stage where you can't help the child, because if you do surgery on the child, the heart will fail, because there is a hole inside and the heart is, you close the hole, the heart can no more pump blood onto the left side and the right side fails and the child will die.
Yeah.
So we don't want any children to go to that stage. We want to catch them when they are shunting from left to right. That's why we always tell them, so school health program and all those is very important, whereby the doctors go to school, check the children, if they find any problem, bring them and treat them.
How common is it among children?
I would say it is one of the most commonest cause, most common type or variety of congenital heart disease. Nowadays the science and technology has progressed. You can do even without surgery. That is called device closure, by which what they do is that they put a catheter from the leg into the chamber, and that using an umbrella like device, they close the hole.
Maybe you can quickly mention the other conditions that affect the heart.
We are talking about congenital heart disease, one group. The other group is known as the acquired heart disease, by which the child is born normal, but over a period of time, child develops some problem. For example, one of the common problems that I find here, or probably in Asia and Africa, is rheumatic fever, which usually affects children at the school going age, and then over a period of time, the heart gets what is called rheumatic heart disease. It manifests as throat pain, joint pain, fever when you are a small boy or girl. And if it is not treated well, over a period of time, it gets into the bloodstream and affects the valves. And what happens is that, as I told you, the valves function, it opens only in one direction. So when this valve gets involved, either it can become narrowed so that the blood is not flowing well, or sometimes if it is so destroyed, the blood can go from bottom to up. So the reversal of the blood flow can happen. And the other common thing that we find, as I told you, Purity, is that blockage of these coronary arteries, which happens. Previously, there was a myth in Africa that African population is resistant or unheard of coronary artery disease, by which there is blockage in the blood vessels, as I told you, which causes heart attack, you know, these blood vessels.
Yeah.
But with the change of time, with the change of economy, change of...
So what causes the blockage?
Yes, it's because of high cholesterol.
Oh, okay.
There is no one cause. There can be multiple causes. For example, the risk factors could be sugar. If you have a sugar patient, it can be a risk. Blood pressure, high blood pressure or hypertension, it can be a risk factor. Family history. Suppose your father and mother, brother, sister, everyone having heart problem, you are also a candidate for that. So smoking, drinking, you know, stress in the present world, lack of sleep. So all these can affect this problem. So there is no one reason. There can be multiple reasons. Or high cholesterol is another thing. The reason I say high cholesterol is that the change of food habits have affected. As you remember that your parents or your grandparents used to eat much more healthy food, but now the children, they eat all burgers and fast food, which is very greasy, has got a lot of cheese and, you know, all sort of things.
Yeah.
So there is a change in scenario in the food pattern. And now second thing is that lack of exercise. Previously everyone used to play football, but now they play it on the computer. They don't go out. So lack of exercise, change in food habits, stress, the modern life of stress, you know, you don't sleep, you half the time you are thinking about something, you are smoking, you are drinking. So all sort of things has increased this, what is known as a coronary artery disease in Africa. I have actually, to tell you the truth, I have done the maximum in whole of East Africa, I think, in Karen Hospital. So what happens is that, as I told you, the blood supply to the muscles coming from the right and left coronary arteries, there is deposition of calcium and cholesterol inside there. Think of a roadblock. Slowly the road is getting closed. So what happens? The blood supply to the muscle become less. So as the blood supply become less, the patient will have symptoms like, for example, angina, chest pain. Especially when you ask them, they say, when I climb the stairs or run after matatu, I get chest pain. When I take rest, I don't get it. So that's an early warning sign telling that there is a blockage or there is a deficiency of blood supply. And as the blockage becomes more and more, it becomes narrow, he started getting chest discomfort even while sitting at home or watching TV. You know, that means the disease is progressing. And if he still doesn't care, that is when the blood vessel get blocked completely, you get what is known as heart attack or myocardial infarction, whereby a certain portion of the muscle is lack of blood supply because the whole blood vessel has blocked off. That portion of the muscle did not get the nutrition, oxygen, and that part becomes dead.
And most people show up in hospital when they already have experienced the attack.
Yes.
So what are the treatment options in general?
So prevention is better than cure. So one of the main thing what I tell the people is that if you have, you know, many times this problem, you may not get typically the chest pain. Sometimes you can get back pain, shoulder pain, neck pain or abdominal pain, you know, and they say it is gas. You know, you have some pain, you take something from across the counter and run around. But my advice to people is that if you treat properly, if you take medication, still it doesn't subside, it's better to contact a doctor, qualified, so that get it evaluated, because help is available. So you have to take it. But if you try to do self-medication, that is where you hit in the wrong direction.
So all these conditions, once early detected, they are curable, right?
Yeah, it is.
But cardiovascular diseases are still the leading cause of
death. It is. Yeah, it is. I told you, it's about 17 to 18 million people die every year throughout the world. not only here, anywhere in the world. That's why people are making a lot of noise, so that educate the public, so that they know, all right, this can be there, this is what we have to do. Suppose someone get a chest pain at home. The main question is that what do we do? The main thing what I say is that open the doors and windows, loosen the dress, make him lie down, don't allow him to smoke or watch TV, don't make him stressed. You know, one of the common thing is that all the family members will sit around him and, you know, make him stressed. Make him cool and calm, then you call for the ambulance. If you have aspirin at home, give one aspirin, you know. So that is what you have to do, and ask for the ambulance and go to the hospital, rather than thinking that, okay, I will do something, let the sun rise, I will go to the hospital. So I think time is the essence. Take help when you need it, don't shy away from it, and I think that is how you can prevent it. Because many times I feel the Mother Nature gives a warning shot. People get, you know, people don't get into heart attack at the first stage. You get problems initially, but he ignores it. He will have chest pain, he may have chest discomfort, or if he says that I have got breathing problem, I used to climb 5 floors, now I can climb only 2 floors. So that means the red flag is up. There is something wrong. So if you say that, oh, I'm getting old, that's why I can't do it. So you find lame excuses to, you know, to satisfy your condition. That is where you head into problems. So my advice to people is that take help, take a professional help, so that you can avoid any major issues.
Okay, I think we are going to wrap it up, because time is, I was also your timekeeper.
Good. So I hope and I wish that I've given a general overview of the heart, the function of the heart, the chambers of the heart, and what are the common conditions that affects the heart, so that it opens up your mind, so that if someone at home is having a problem, you can always point out, look, better go to a good hospital and take professional help, rather than taking a tablet across the counter and say that it's gas, you know. Because we are all human beings, we try to, you know, cut short things. But I think if you treat properly, it can come down.
Okay, thank you so much for agreeing to be part of this healthy conversation about the heart and how best we can protect our heart. Only heart. We don't have two, just one.
I know.
Thank you so much for being here.
Pleasure, pleasure.
We highly appreciate. You want to wrap it up?
Thank you. So, friends who are watching this program, my advice for you is that if you have a heart problem to your near and dear ones, please take professional help, because help is available. And if you take proper help at the right time, it can be, the major catastrophe can be avoided, and you can avoid a major problem. Because I always believe that the more you delay, then it becomes more risky. So I think if you nip the problem right in the bud, it can be corrected and fixed at the early stage. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll see you again next week, same place, same time. I'm Purity Museo. God bless.
Yeah, thank you very much.